In the quiet, reassuring world of daytime television, few people have felt as genuinely beloved as Jay Blades. As the warm and welcoming foreman of the BBC's runaway hit, The Repair Shop, he became a national symbol of kindness, community, and the gentle art of putting broken things back together. His own story was a modern-day fairy tale, a man who overcame immense adversity, from the streets of Hackney to the pinnacle of British broadcasting. He was the man who, through sheer resilience, had repaired his own fractured life. But that carefully restored public image has been dealt a devastating blow. In September 2024, in stark formal language that rippled through newsrooms, West Mercia police announced that Jason Blades had been charged with controlling and coercive behavior against his estranged wife. The news was a seismic shock, a brutal collision of two completely opposing realities. One was the familiar, gentle world of the sunlit barn, where treasured heirlooms were given a new lease on life. The other was the cold, unsparing world of a police charge sheet and a looming court date. This wasn't just a crack in the veneer. For many, it felt like a complete shattering. How did the man who championed vulnerability and was honored by the king for his services to craft find himself facing such serious allegations? This story is no longer just about the Jay Blades we thought we knew. It's about the deep, troubling chasm that has opened up between the public persona and the private man, a chasm that now threatens to swallow his entire legacy. To understand the magnitude of the shockwaves sent by the criminal charge, you first have to appreciate the towering pedestal upon which Jay Blades stood. For millions, he wasn't just a television presenter. He was a comforting presence, the steady heart of a program that felt like a warm hug. The Repair Shop, which first aired in 2017, became an unexpected cultural phenomenon. Its premise was deceptively simple. People bring in cherished, broken heirlooms, and a team of Britain's finest craftspeople restore them to their former glory. In an era of confrontational reality TV, The Repair Shop was an antidote. It was slow, gentle, and deeply human. At the center of it all was Jay. Crucially, he wasn't one of the restorers. He was the foreman, the emotional anchor of the barn. His role was to welcome people, listen with genuine empathy as they told the stories behind their precious items: a faded teddy bear, a battered jukebox, a chipped ceramic dish. Jay's on-screen persona was one of effortless warmth. His easy smile, his signature flat cap, and his gentle questions created a safe space. He had a knack for connecting, for understanding that the object wasn't just an object, it was a vessel for memory, love, and grief. When the final emotional reveal came, Jay was there, often sharing in the tears and joy. His appeal was broadened by other television projects that built on this image of resilience. In the moving 2021 BBC documentary, Jay Blades, Learning to Read at 51, he bravely exposed his lifelong struggle with dyslexia. The program was raw, honest, and profoundly inspiring. It cemented his status as a relatable human being who wasn't afraid to show his own imperfections and work to fix them. The establishment embraced him as enthusiastically as the public. In 2021, he was appointed a Member of the Order of the British Empire, MBE, for his services to craft. Perhaps the peak of this public embrace came in 2022, with The Repair Shop: A Royal Visit, featuring the then Prince of Wales. The easy camaraderie between Jay and the future king was palpable. The show won a Daytime BAFTA TV Award in 2023 for the special episode. Accepting the award, Jay spoke emotionally about what it meant for a six-fifth black guy from Hackney with a gold tooth from a single-parent family to be recognized on such a stage. His influence extended into academia. In March 2023, he was installed as the first-ever Chancellor of Buckinghamshire New University, the same place where he had finally been diagnosed with dyslexia as a mature student. He became an ambassador for the King's Foundation, Heritage Crafts, and the Queen Elizabeth Scholarship Trust, KEST. Jay Blades was more than a TV star. He was a testament to the idea that no one and no thing is beyond repair. Long before the EI, gleaming BAFTAs and royal appointments, the life of Jason Blades was forged in hardship. Born in London and raised on a council estate in Hackney, his early years were defined by challenges that would have broken many. Growing up in the 70s and 80s, he was confronted with poverty and racism. Raised by his determined single mother, resources were scarce. In his memoir, he recounts a childhood that, while filled with love at home, was fraught with external threats, including brutalization by police as a teenager. But perhaps his most persistent struggle was an invisible one: undiagnosed dyslexia. Throughout his school career, he was unable to read or write properly. He left school at 15 with no qualifications and a deeply ingrained belief that he was a failure. His early adult life was a patchwork of manual labor jobs. He became a father at a young age, adding the pressure of responsibility to his challenging circumstances. The turning point came when he enrolled as a mature student at Buckinghamshire New University to study criminology and philosophy. It was here, at age 31, that he was finally diagnosed with dyslexia. The diagnosis was a moment of liberation. It gave him a framework to understand a lifetime of struggle. He wasn't stupid, his brain was simply wired differently. This period ignited his passion for restoration, not just of furniture, but of people. He and his first wife, Jade, founded a charity in High Wycombe called Out of the Dark. The charity's mission was to train disadvantaged young people in furniture restoration. For about 5 years, the charity flourished, a testament to Jay's innate drive to fix, mentor, and build. This was the foundation of everything he would later become, a man who understood what it felt like to be discarded and what it took to be restored. Just as Jay had built a life of purpose, the foundations gave way with terrifying speed. The year 2015 marked the darkest period of his life. The charity he had poured his heart into, Out of the Dark, collapsed due to funding issues. The professional collapse coincided with a devastating personal one. His marriage to his first wife, Jade, ended. In a matter of months, Jay Blades lost his life's work, his wife, and his home. He found himself homeless, his worldly possessions crammed into a single carrier bag. The psychological toll was immense. He fell into a severe depression, a state he later described as being in a world that was completely dark. He even considered taking his own life. He got in his car and drove, with no destination, until his car ran out of fuel in a car park in Wolverhampton. This rock-bottom moment was, paradoxically, the beginning of his climb back. In Wolverhampton, a friend he had met through business, Gerald Bailey, offered him a lifeline. Bailey gave him a place to stay and helped him set up a new furniture restoration business. Jay & Co. Slowly, painstakingly, Jay began to rebuild. It was during this period of quiet recovery that television producers intervened. They had seen a short film about his old charity and were captivated by his story and on-screen charisma. He was first brought in for the show Money for Nothing, before being offered the central role as the foreman of a new concept, The Repair Shop. The show, which first aired in 2017, was the perfect vehicle for him. His lived experience of loss and recovery gave him a unique empathy. The comeback was complete. The nation fell in love with this narrative, seeing in Jay Blades a powerful example of a man who had faced the darkness and found his way back into the light. At the height of his public acclaim, Jay's personal life also seemed to have found its happily ever after. In November 2022, he married his second wife, fitness instructor Lisa Zbozen, in an intimate ceremony in Barbados. For the public, it was the perfect next chapter. However, less than 2 years later, the first public cracks in this idyllic facade began to appear. On May 2, 2024, Lisa Zbozen took to Instagram to announce their marriage was over. In a raw and emotional post, she wrote, "I don't think I've ever cried so much." She spoke of wanting her husband to love me and keep me safe, but said that things just got worse and worse until I grabbed a bag of a few things and I just left. The announcement came just days after Jay himself said he was taking a break from social media, citing the recent murder of his uncle. At the time, the public narrative was one of overwhelming sympathy for Jay, but a far more disturbing story was developing. 4 months later, in September 2024, the narrative took a sharp turn. News broke that Jay Blades had been charged with engaging in controlling and coercive behavior against his estranged wife. He appeared at Kidderminster Magistrates Court on September 13th. The charge alleged that his behavior between January 2023 and September 2024 had a serious effect on Lisa's bosun, causing her to fear on at least 2 occasions that violence would be used against her. Coercive and controlling behavior is a pattern of threats, humiliation, and intimidation used to harm or frighten a victim. The news sent a shockwave through the public consciousness. The man who advocated for kindness was now accused of behavior designed to instill fear. He was bailed to appear at Worcester Crown Court, and on October 11, 2024, he formally entered a plea of not guilty. The cracks in the facade had widened into a deep and troubling fissure. The charge of coercive and controlling behavior marked the beginning of a rapid dismantling of the empire Jay Blades had so carefully built. The institutions that had once celebrated him now began to distance themselves. He resigned from his position as the first-ever Chancellor of Buckinghamshire New University with immediate effect. He also stepped down as an ambassador for the King's Foundation, and from his roles as co-chair of Heritage Crafts and ambassador for the Queen Elizabeth Scholarship Trust, QEST. These organizations, all dedicated to causes close to his heart, quietly accepted his departure. The BBC's response was cautious but clear. A scheduled repeat of David and Jay's touring toolshed was pulled from the schedules, while past episodes featuring him remained on the iPlayer streaming service. The broadcaster confirmed it was not currently scheduling any new programs featuring him and that he was not filming anything for them. The message was unmistakable. His future on the BBC was on indefinite hold, pending the outcome of the legal proceedings. The beloved public figure was now, first and foremost, a defendant facing a grave criminal charge, his career in limbo, and his reputation hanging in the balance. This is a complex and developing story, and we want to know your thoughts. How does this news reframe your view of Jay Blades and the repair shop? Let us know in the comments below, but please remember to be respectful as legal proceedings are active. And if you want to stay updated on stories like this, make sure you subscribe. The story of Jay Blades has fractured into 2 irreconcilable narratives. On one hand, there is the powerful, inspiring saga of a man who overcame racism, poverty, and learning difficulties to become a symbol of hope and community. His journey from a Hackney Council estate to a BAFTA stage was a testament to the human spirit's capacity for repair. He built an identity around the very idea that nothing is ever truly broken beyond salvation. On the other hand, there is the stark reality of a man facing a serious criminal accusation. The police statements and court dates tell a different story, one of alleged control and fear. The warmth of the barn now feels impossibly distant, overshadowed by the cold proceedings of the justice system. It is crucial to remember that Jay Blades remains innocent until proven guilty. The allegations are, at this stage, just that, allegations. The full truth, or at least the version of it with legal standing, will only emerge through the trial to come. But regardless of the eventual verdict, the 2 versions of Jay Blades will forever coexist. The tragic question is about a legacy that has been shattered, and whether the public's trust, once so freely given, can ever be pieced back together again. The nation's favorite repairman now faces his own day of reckoning, and the final verdict will determine which of these 2 stories is the one that truly defines him.